This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Monday, January 22nd, 2007, and this is episode 208 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hodgeberg from MGMstudios.org. On the show today is Mike Scopa of MousePlanet.com.
I thought it was me.
Welcome, Mike.
Belay there, mate. Anyone in his right mind knows there's no such thing as a sea serpent or mermaids. Mr. Baxter, if you think you're seeing mermaids and sea serpents, you've been submerged too long.
Wait, concrete. Oh, wait, that's what it is now.
It's
Very good.
Pooh's thoughtful
Who's
place.
playful spot? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I like concrete better. Also on the show is Len Testa, co-author of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
How's it going, Matt?
Outstanding. And we have Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome, Mike.
Duh, bears.
Good.
On today's show, we're talking about touring with grandparents and kids. So a lot of times, grandparents will bring their kids to Walt Disney World, or bring their grandkids to Walt Disney World. Or kids dump their kids on the grandparents. And, oftentimes you want to incorporate a touring plan that maybe either for grandparents to take their kids or a touring plan that will be okay with the kids in the group as well as the grandparents in the group. Right, Len?
Right. Yeah. The key here is to find. Well, first of all, the key is to dump the kids off that old battle axe mother-in-law of yours for a day. Well, you and the missus head for some quality time at the
So
spa.
Don's mom is a real winner, huh?
No, of course I'm speaking in the generic. My mother-in-law is wonderful.
This has been a paid political announcement.
No, really, my mother-in-law is fabulous. Actually, it's funny. My mother-in-law, who's retired, recently figured out how to put something on eBay, ship internationally, and accept payments on PayPal. I was so impressed. I was like, "Wow, that's fabulous." So, but anyway, so here's the deal. The grandparents have volunteered to take the kids off your hands for a day or so, and they want to tour the park with your youngins. What do you do so that you hopefully let the grandparents have such a wonderful experience that they're willing to do it again and again and again on the vacation. So we came up with some advice for this. So in doing so, we had to come up with a set of attractions that met a couple of criteria. One of them is that it has to be interesting both to the children and to the grandparents. And there are a couple of attractions that are great for one, but not for the other, like Splash Mountain, which seniors love, but not too many, grade school children.
Right, they're kind of afraid of it.
Yeah, attractions like Haunted Mansion. Again, great for the seniors,
Yep.
not so great for preschoolers. Hall of Presidents. I don't need to say anything more about that. So we actually came up with a list of about 25 attractions that are really good for parents and they're really good for grandparents and parents of small children and small children that everyone likes. And it includes a midday break back at the hotel, so everyone gets a nap, and it includes as little walking as possible. Now we had to make some compromises on this. One of the compromises that we had to make was you really don't do anything in Tomorrowland. But it's okay because really outside of Space Mountain, you have to cut corners somewhere, and really Tomorrowland has the fewest attractions rated highly for both groups, so it's sort of optional.
And a good question is, what age group are we talking about for kids here, Len?
You're really talking about children younger than 8, in the say 3 to 7 range.
Okay.
Maybe 8, and then for grandparents, it's you have to be able to do quite a bit of walking, but it's not a slog through the park. Again, we're including a midday break in there, and we're also doing again we're cutting out Tomorrowland, which really cuts down on the amount of backtracking you have to do.
All right.
Well, you could make an argument that you might as well leave Epcot out then if you're talking 8 or below 8, because there really isn't much.
Well, maybe it's just a half-day plan.
Yeah, probably.
Well, let's start with Magic Kingdom, Len.
So in the Magic Kingdom, I'm just gonna go through the order of the lands. We're not gonna have time to go through the entire touring plan, but essentially it starts in Fantasyland, and visits virtually everything in Fantasyland. A couple of points that we would make. Obviously, you want to do Dumbo first. You want to get Pan and Pooh out of the way fairly quickly. You want to leave It's a Small World for sort of midday. After you get, not in the midday, mid-morning, after you get the rest of Fantasyland out of the way. And you want to leave things like Mad Tea Party and Pooh's Playful Spot till the very end of Fantasyland, because you want to get those other attractions that develop big lines out of the way. And from there, you head over to Toontown, and you do autographs and character meets there. Ride the Barnstormer if you can. And that's pretty much the morning right there. You'll take the train from Toontown to the front entrance, eat lunch outside the park, and take a good 3 or 4 hour break. The good thing about that plan is that it allows a lot of time for potty breaks for both the seniors and the kids, and it's not really rushed. You don't, we include things like Ariel's Grotto in Fantasyland. Again, a lot of character greeting there, a lot of stopping for snacks, and a lot of sitting and stuff like that. When you return to the park, it's you're taking the train again from the Magic Kingdom over to Frontierland. You're doing Tom Sawyer Island. You're doing Country Bear Jamboree. You're doing the Frontierland Shooting Arcade, which amazingly is hugely popular with both seniors and small children.
I got to do that one of these days.
Oh, it's a hoot. It's a lot of fun. And they have it's 50 cents per play. You get what, 12 shots, something like that.
Sure.
It's a lot of fun. And you then go over to Adventureland. You're doing either the Jungle Cruise if the lines are relatively short. You're doing Enchanted Tiki Room, Magic Carpets of Aladdin, Pirates if the kids can stand it. And at that point, we give you an option. After you're done, and Swiss Family Treehouse, which again, hugely popular with both groups. After that, it's sort of like time to gauge how everyone's doing. If everyone's exhausted, you bail out then and just find a spot for the evening parade and fireworks, sort of by the central hub. If everyone is willing to keep going, then you go in and you do some Tomorrowland attractions. But that kind of ends the day one way or the other right there.
Cool.
Yeah. So really, we leave Tomorrowland for the last minute stuff. Again, unless you're trying to really grind your mother-in-law into the ground. In which case, after a nap, you can say, little Timmy really wanted to go on a Tomorrowland Indy Speedway. And this way, she's your mother-in-law's walked the the entire park. She's inhaled some carbon monoxide, and she's dragged your kid around for 16 hours in the Magic Kingdom. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, that's the Magic Kingdom right there. And now for the studios, I had the dubious task of coming up with this for some reason.
It's not dubious. It's an honorable tradition.
Honorable tradition. So, a lot of this one, and it's hard finding attractions that work for both parents, or both for kids and grandparents.
Grandparents, yeah.
Right. So I had the day starting off at the Great Movie Ride and experiencing that, and then moving on to Muppet Vision, and from there heading to Voyage of the Little Mermaid. That should be coming up. The first show is usually a little before 10 o'clock.
Are you getting fast passes for that when you are at Great Movie Ride, or you just...
I guess you could. I mean, depending on the crowd levels. I didn't put that in there, but that's probably a good point line. And then from there, again, I like to minimize walking if I can, but for both groups. So I go from Mermaid to Magic at Disney Animation. And from there, I like to then exit Animation and go down Mickey Avenue and or in front of the Sorcerer's Hat and go meet characters.
Oh.
And at this point, depending on the time, you got to beforehand you got to look at the time, and hopefully you can work in the first showing of Beauty and the Beast. If that's not going to be possible at this time, maybe the kids aren't that big into characters, or there might not be any good ones out. You could optionally work in the backlot tour. At that point, then I would say probably lunch and take your afternoon break. And when you come back, just come back for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and then go to Al's Toy Barn to meet some of the Toy Story characters. And then that should be about parade time when you come back. And the rest of the day, you may repeat anything you want to do again, and then wait for Fantasmic if that's up their alley.
Oh, that's not bad.
Thank you.
What are the suggestions for dinner?
For dinner, I would probably say Primetime probably is my best bet. I'm not recommending sci-fi. I don't think I can edit those words.
What about a counter service?
For counter service, you're not going to really beat in terms of selection Backlot Express, although ABC Commissary is a good backup.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you're sick of burger fare, ABC Commissary might be a good option for right there.
It's not bad.
Yeah, and you can get. I mean, they have burgers at either place. It depends how eclectic your taste is. What have we got for Epcot?
Epcot. Okay, for Epcot, I'm guessing that Epcot, because of the kind of theme park it is, and because of the age group we're talking about, the children, I'm thinking that at best we're looking at a half a day. And I guess I'd break it up this way. I would enter through the International Gateway, and I would start off with breakfast at Akershus with the Storybook Princesses, and then I would take the boat over to Future World, and then I would go over to Imagination, take some time and spend some time in Imagination. I think the kids would like it there. I would not take them to Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. I think that it's one of those attractions that just doesn't do it for them. I would also not take them to Universe of Energy, Ellen's Universe, because I know that there are some kids some preschoolers who love dinosaurs, but that might be a little too intense for them. And also, I would not take them on Maelstrom, because I think there are some images there that might be a little frightening to them. And I'm not sure about Test Track. I'm sort of on the fence with Test Track. But getting back to the touring, I would take them to Imagination, let them see Figment. I would guess that they would be big enough to take them on to Soarin'. I think that they should get a chance to see Soarin'. Then from there, I would take them to Nemo, The Living Seas with Nemo, and obviously Turtle Talk. That would take up quite a bit of the day. We'd be getting close to midday, and around that time, I think I'd make my way over to Spaceship Earth, because I would think that at that time, Spaceship Earth, I don't think really gets a lot of business during the middle of the day. I think it gets a lot of business right up front. And I can always remember, maybe a long time ago, when I think I remember reading, maybe it was in your book, that you wait till you're leaving Epcot to do Spaceship Earth. You don't do it first thing in the morning, because everything else is going to be backed up by the time you get out of there. So I do Spaceship Earth with them. Then I was thinking, okay, maybe I'd take them over to the Character Experience, which is in Innoventions West, I think, or on that side, for the Character Experience. And then I thought, okay, now it's time for lunch. Where would the kids like to go to eat in Epcot? And I figured they could get entertained at Teppanyaki, so we'd take the boat over to Japan and would have lunch at Teppanyaki, and then we would take off for the day, go back to the resort for some pool time, and then whatever comes that evening comes that evening. But I think it would be basically a half day, or maybe a 3/4 day touring plan for Epcot with grandparents and preschoolers.
That's not bad at all.
Very good. And Animal Kingdom, we just skip, right?
Yeah.
Shut up.
Because no human wants that.
They can't do. We should probably do this together. They can't. Let's think of what they can't do.
do
Obviously, they
Everest.
can't do Everest, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Skip,
dinosaurs
how
can't
did you make out with your great grandkids when you went over there?
For me
Jedediah and
and Jesus.
In their
Cain and Abel.
in their covered wagon
Cain
from
and
the Oregon
Abel.
Trail.
Are you going to take them to
Thank
see?
you, Noel. Noel got the joke. Thanks. Everyone, no one else was listening.
No one else got it.
That's great.
Test Track is out. Tough to Be a Bug is out. Or is it Fun to Be a Bug? I always forget.
Tough to be a bug.
Tough to Be a Bug. That's out. You got to scare the daylights out of the kids. So, you get to bring them to see maybe the new Nemo musical. You bring them to see Festival of the Lion King. You can bring them to, obviously, Donald's Breakfasaurus would be a great place to start. You can bring them over to that lovely Dino Land, Dinorama, where the grandparents can just sit and watch, and as the kids, run around and do whatever they need to do. There's the Boneyard. Maybe that is a good park for the grandparents to take the kids, because the grandparents can just sit around.
There's
and
not a lot
watch
to
the
do,
kids.
and the grandparents can say, "Look, I took him there. What?
Yeah,
What do you want from me?"
I mean, that's it. I take them on the safari. Maybe take them on the what's the walk tour,
The Maharaja Jungle Trek
Maharaja
Yeah.
Trek, yeah.
and the other jungle. There's the other one too.
Pangiani
Now-
Forest Exploration Trail.
Now, here's a key point though. Would you bother? I mean, you now we're assuming that there is some ambulatory issues with the grandparents, and if that's the case, do you take them to Rafiki's Planet Watch or no? I would say no. Isn't that a long walk? I haven't been to that area
That's
in
a
a long
hike, but
time.
a lot of it's on the train.
Yeah.
Once you're in there, though, it's not bad. The only problem
Isn't there
is
a hike
that
from the train? Isn't there a hike?
no,
from
no,
the
no,
train?
it's not that bad of a walk from the train.
No, it's pretty short. I mean, it's a walk, but
Yeah.
I mean, you could do that too. Certainly, I think the whole conservation station is really geared towards the kids over there. But I mean,
Yeah.
you finish. I think you'll be finished with Animal Kingdom early in the day, in the afternoon, and you can take the advantage of it by spending more time perhaps at the pool. Taking a longer break than you might usually do with the other parks. So is that all you had, Scopa, for Animal Kingdom?
Yeah, that's all my thoughts were. The main points were that you've got Tough to Be a Bug and Expedition Everest and dinosaurs completely out of the question.
Yeah, again, the dinosaur's just going to freak the kids out, and you'll end up paying for therapy for them.
Yeah, kids, 25-year-olds. I mean, it all works. A quick note, we've got a live show coming up on Sunday, January 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Mouse Roll Radio. For all the details on how to call in or links to listen, please visit WaltDisneyWorldToday.com, where we'll have links and information, all that other good stuff. 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock Eastern Time, Sunday, January 28th. Well, that's it for us today. If you want to find older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at www.today.com. You can also email us at questions@www.today.com. For Lentis, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hodgeberg. We'll see you on the next show.